if you live in the downtown Nashville area, take cover immediately.
It was just this low, dark cloud that just kind of swallowed downtown.
Transformers were popping. You could see wires exploding with fireballs coming up.
Came in right over us.
And then, boom, everything started falling.
There's no question this was going to be very bad.
The Weather Channel presents a special Tornado Week episode of Storm Stories.
April 1998. Severe storms ripped through the central and southern United States, producing a deadly string of tornadoes. A powerful southern jet stream has repeatedly collided with warm, humid air from the Gulf of Mexico. The result? A dangerously unstable air mass and the perfect conditions for tornadoes. In Nashville, Tennessee, no funnels have been sighted, but this pattern has caused a series of thunderstorms. And on April 16th, the city braces for another round of wild weather. Scott Harris is the field response coordinator for the city's emergency management department. He's been tracking the latest storm since dawn.
Several waves of storm had already moved through, but this one had a lot more potential, so we were a little more concerned as it moved toward the Nashville area.
While Scott tracks the weather, an important meeting is taking place in the office.
We had a salesman here from one of the tornado warning siren companies that was talking about the placement of tornado warning sirens in the Nashville area and how it could benefit us.
It's a timely sales pitch, since Nashville does not have a single tornado siren. A warning system has not been a priority for many residents since they believe tornadoes don't hit urban areas. But they're about to find out if that's really true. Throughout the morning, local television and radio stations try to spread the word about the dangerous storm. Meteorologist Ron House updates viewers for WTVF-TV. His station is located in a 3-story building on the western edge of downtown Nashville.
We knew that April 16th was going to be a very eventful weather day, so we thought it was really a good idea to raise public awareness.
To help keep watch over the weather, he uses the station's Skycam, which sits atop a high-rise a half-mile away.
We're just kind of keeping an eye over Nashville as we continue to pan back and forth and make sure we don't see the formation of a tornado. But
tornadoes can be especially difficult to spot in the southern United States. Moisture from the Gulf of Mexico often causes these twisters to be shrouded in clouds and rain, which hide the telltale shape of a funnel.
We're going to go to a close-up view now of the city of Nashville, since the storm is moving through the area here.
In the heart of downtown Nashville, Kathy Moore is chatting with her regulars at the Turf, a well-known honky-tonk near Nashville's Music Row. Kathy's owned the bar for 14 years, and she takes pride in its unique reputation.
This is probably the mother of all honky-tonks. I mean, it's pretty much all about the music here. We had some good times. Some that I can't tell on television.
Rubber honky-tonk man.
30-year-old bartender Janet Chambers pours drinks while watching a local weather report.
It was dark, and I thought, well, maybe we'll be okay, because it'd been raining, and it'd been raining for days. So we just kept working, kept serving.
The storm reports grow more threatening by the hour.
There is some very serious-looking weather here developing just north of the city of Nashville.
We had the TV on all day, my bartender and I, all the customers sitting there watching it. One of the boys wanted to get up and leave, and we told him no, that it was too bad.
At 3:15 p.m., National Weather Service radar detects a tornado 10 miles west of the city. A warning is issued for the Nashville metro area. The twister rumbles eastward, wrapped in rain clouds. It's now an F0, the weakest rating on the Fujita scale, but it's gathering strength. In the basement of WTVF, cameraman Mike Rose is editing a news piece. He's oblivious to the storm outside.
An assignment manager came running back to the edit bay and said, quick, grab your camera, go outside. There's a tornado heading towards downtown.
Mike doesn't need to go far for a clear shot of the twister. He can see it from the loading dock behind the station.
I'm going to stay with as long as I can. Over here.
You know, usually you have to drive somewhere to get the story, and it was coming right to us.
I'm all right.
Inside the studio, WTVF news anchor Chris Clark watches a live shot of the tornado taken by the station's Skycam.
This was not a typical rainstorm. I've seen those move in before. This was something a lot more. This was ominous. It was coming in fast, and it was going to be bad.
That was probably the critical moment when we realized that the Skycam that we were looking at was not on our building. It was about a half a mile away, and that we, meaning the television station, were right in the path of this thing.
I have never been so scared in a weather situation, and I've seen a lot of them. Now, you've seen pictures of tornadoes, the funnel coming down, touching the ground, but I've never seen a tornado coming right at me.
The twister is now an F2 and up to 3/4 of a mile wide, yet the rain surrounding the funnel makes it appear even larger. By 3:30 p.m., the rolling black cloud that enshrouds the tornado looms over the western edge of downtown Nashville. The twister is less than a mile from WTVF. Terrified pedestrians scramble into the station looking for cover from the howling storm.
Let her in and move away from the glass.
Some of them were even crying as we opened the door and literally pulled them into our lobby. They were scared to death. On the back side of the building, the loading dock, our photographers were trying to get pictures of it and almost got swept up in the storm itself.
Cameraman Mike Rose keeps rolling, even as 150-mile-an-hour winds drag him outside.
A couple of guys grabbed onto my belt, I guess to make sure I wasn't going to get sucked out the door or anything. They kind of braced me, and I kind of shielded myself in the door jamb to try to get the shot. I was just running on such adrenaline, and you know, I really wanted to get the shot.
Moments later, Mike's determination falters.
That last gust of wind, well, when the piece of debris fell off of the building, that's when I thought, okay, well, maybe this is a little bit crazy.
Mike has seen enough. He scrambles inside and takes shelter in the basement. Back at Emergency Management Headquarters, Scott Harris updates his 911 center.
We briefed the dispatchers on what we thought was coming our way. We'd never seen anything of that magnitude. You know, tornadoes were not supposed to hit downtown populated areas, so we'd all been told.
The phones are ringing off the hook.
We started getting reports from the surrounding counties of some damage and some large hail.
Part of Scott's job is to survey damaged areas immediately following a storm. He climbs in his truck and drives through the deserted streets.
This being 3:30 in the afternoon on a Thursday, normally traffic's bumper to bumper. And as I'm going on this road, there's no traffic. It was kind of eerie.
Scott glances back as he leaves downtown Nashville.
It looked like the sky, as far as you could see across the horizon, was within arm's length of the ground, basically. Like somebody dragging a big gray blanket across the ground. And it was all churning and turning and just circulating.
Back at the turf, Kathy Moore and Janet Chambers are glued to local news coverage.
I looked at the TV and they said it was definitely coming towards downtown. And I just thought, oh, crap.
The F2 tornado is moments away from slamming into the western edge of downtown Nashville. WTVF is one of the first buildings in its path. Inside the station, more than 100 people brace themselves for the impact, while a small number of reporters and crew members decide to stay on the air as long as they can.
We'll go to the Skycam picture here, and you'll see a very ominous thing indeed. From there on out, our feelings turn from just simply being the warning vehicle to maybe figuring out, were we going to make it through this thing okay.
Viewers across Nashville watch as the broadcast loses picture. Reporters can still be heard covering the tornado for a few seconds more.
This is Joe Case live from the newsroom here at News Channel 5, and what we're watching
until the powerful twister slams into the station.
If we have a picture up, what we're watching is the actual
Thursday, April 16th, 1998. It's 3:30 p.m. in Nashville, Tennessee. Kathy Moore and her customers at the Turf Bar have been watching live news coverage of a 3/4 mile wide twister as it crashes into downtown Nashville. When the broadcast goes dead, Kathy runs to the window.
The clouds weren't just moving along, they were rolling. And it looked like you could just reach out and get a handful of them.
You could feel the change in the air right before it happened, and it was no good. You knew something bad was going to happen.
Kathy watches as the giant twister rumbles toward the Ryman Auditorium, former home of the Grand Ole Opry.
The shingles of the roof was starting to come off and spin.
We're all yelling at her, Kathy, that's not a good place to be. Get out of the window, and then boom, everything started falling.
It was sort of a whoosh, you know, and you felt a lot of draft.
The twister tears off the roof of their building, showering the bar with debris.
We were choking on brick dust. We wanted out of there because it was so hard to breathe.
Only the walls of the turf remain intact, and Kathy is worried that the shattered building might collapse. She tries to pry open the front door, but it's wedged shut.
Most of our concerns is getting out. It was an old building, and we thought, you know, we're lucky we don't have the ceiling on us now.
South of the turf, an off-duty police officer captures the F2 tornado on videotape as it tears through the heart of Music City. In just 3 minutes, the twister grinds through the center of Nashville and continues east. WTVF-TV has been knocked off the air after taking a direct hit from the tornado. Everyone inside has survived, but the station's power is still out. Chief Meteorologist Ron House is desperate to get back on the air and send a warning to residents who are still in the tornado's path.
We started immediately scrambling, trying to figure out, well, now how can we get any more information on the air?
We would never have just thrown in the towel. That's just not the way we do things. We're all pretty aggressive around here, and once the engineers came up with the idea that we could get on the air from the tower, there was no question. We would do that.
Hoping to reestablish their broadcast, Ron House and Chris Clark head for WTVF's main transmitter site, 8 miles north of downtown. Meanwhile, cameramen Charlie Woodward and Mike Rose race outside the station house to take in the damage. They roll their cameras as they make their way through the wreckage.
Everything was just unfolding before us, you know, in our own backyard.
Charlie spots a stalled bus beneath a railroad trestle.
There were telephone poles and electrical lines all over the bus. First thing I was thinking was, geez, I hope nobody's on the bus.
Do you know what happened? Where was that tornado located? You okay? I don't know. I'm in bed to death. I hurt my leg. You're going to be all right. You'll be all right.
Charlie and Mike find medical treatment for the terrified woman before venturing further into the city. As they go, they try to document the destruction while they assist any victims they come across.
Careful, that's live wire.
Every 15 or 20 feet, there's a story. There's someone who's either just been through this horrific experience or reacting to something that they were seeing.
Our cars were just going like this. It picked hers and the car behind me. She was right behind me. It just picked us up right off the road, and then it just dropped us just like that. I've never been so scared in all of my life.
Nashville's Emergency Response Center is overwhelmed with damage and injury reports.
People started sticking their heads out of businesses and looking toward downtown, trying to figure out what that was that just passed them.
God, it looked like he got hit by a bomb.
They had a look of shock on their face.
I've got a building collapse on 1st Avenue.
City firefighters removed the piles of brick and timber blocking the door to the turf. No one inside has been hurt, but the bar is destroyed.
My husband and I had been at the bar 14 years. We never figured a tornado would get us out.
While downtown residents dig out of the rubble, the tornado is still on the move and growing in strength. By the time the funnel slams into East Nashville, it's a powerful F3. It snaps century-old trees in two and rumbles over historic buildings like Andrew Jackson's home, the Hermitage. Just north of the city, Chris Clark and Ron House have finally reached the WTVF transmitter.
We could hear the tower taking lightning hits, and the storm is still pretty bad.
The skeleton crew drags cameras and audio equipment through the mud as they try to establish a signal. They manage to get a picture, but their audio is still down. Finally, after an hour and a half of dead air, Chris Clark pens a message to his viewers. We survived the tornado. Moments later, their equipment is up and running.
We're flying blind because we don't have any radar or much of anything out here except just the weather. And we were back to the Stone Age in television.
At one point in time, we're getting reports from two-way radios held up to microphones.
Mark Bellinger's on the radio. Mark, you're on the air now. Can you tell us where you are and what you're seeing?
We have just been to Centennial Park. There are 3 injuries there. One person injured, very serious.
In just 30 minutes, the Nashville tornado has traveled 19 miles. Around 4 p.m., it begins to weaken. A local camera shop owner snaps this picture moments before the twister dissipates. As evening falls, hundreds of people are homeless.
It just destroyed it. It took it off the foundation. I guess I'll just have to rebuild.
Thousands more struggle to cope with the destruction around them.
Shingles were down, the roof was down, nails, and our car was destroyed. Windshield was busted in and everything. I was real unhappy about it because it was scary. What was amazing that we were still alive.
April 16th, 1998. A 3/4-mile wide tornado has struck Nashville, Tennessee. Historic East Nashville is the hardest hit. Entire buildings have been swept off their foundations.
It was just amazing to see the power of the weather. Hundreds of trees, some dating back to Andrew Jackson's days, gone. It was just amazing to see the power of the weather.
In the wake of the destruction, many people praised the crew of WTVF-TV for their bravery and determination in the face of the tornado. The station had been knocked off the air when the twister slammed into their building. Yet, an hour and a half later, they resumed storm coverage from a makeshift outpost.
It's amazing to me that we were the story. After the tornado, how we managed to get back on the air became a story into itself.
Another credit to WTVF and other local stations is that their broadcast encouraged viewers to take shelter. Only one person was killed by the Nashville tornado, a young man who did not have access to a television or radio.
We got to believe that the ample warning that was given out by the local television stations really helped save some lives. Some of them stayed on the air for a constant 17 hours straight with no commercials, nothing but weather.
Final damage totals exceeded $100 million in the city of Nashville alone. Over 300 homes and businesses were completely destroyed, including Kathy Moore's bar, The Turf. Today, Kathy can still be found chatting up the regulars, but not at her beloved honky-tonk. She now works across the street at a different bar.
It's a great bar, it really was, and I really do miss it. It's been, you know, since '98, and I still don't even like to look at that corner. But, have to move on.
It just broke my heart to see everything these poor people worked for their whole lives gone in an instant. Devastation was so widespread. I mean, how do you escape something like that? You don't escape it. It's just right there on you.
3 years years after the twister ripped through Nashville, the city finally acquired funding for tornado sirens. By 2003, 70 sirens were up and running.
I'd always heard that tornadoes never hit urban areas or downtown areas. A meteorologist never told me that. This is one of those things you always hear. But I guess that proved to be wrong.
Are tornadoes just as likely to hit big cities as they are to strike rural communities? We'll tell you when Storm Stories returns. Are tornadoes just as likely to hit big cities as they are to strike rural communities? The answer is yes and no. If you threw a dart at a map of the United States, more than likely you would not hit a large city. Tornadoes are more common in rural areas because mile for mile, there is more rural land in the United States. But twisters do hit big cities. The common belief that city heat and skyscrapers deflect a tornado is a dangerous and potentially deadly urban legend. For Storm Stories, I'm meteorologist Jim Cantori. Your local forecast is next. A massive tornado tears a baby from her mother's arms. Hear more of this amazing story next on Storm Stories.